I'm it, right?
You're
Right, so, before we begin, as you know, this is being recorded, so anything that is being said, verbally or in chat can be forwarded at a later date. So, it's all yours, Mike.
Haven't seen. Something said that.
Oh.
People say, that's oil.
All right, Michael.
Okay, so it's actually, I'm gonna jump in there, sorry, Michael. No, I wanted to say what I told you before, and then we're gonna go through section.
The meeting,
Yeah, okay, welcome,
you know,
everyone to the meeting, go ahead. We have an hour.
welcome to the bylaws committee meeting, everybody. It is the first of a few.
Yeah, great.
To review our current bylaws that were last produced pre-COVID.
Yeah,
And there've been some changes that we are contemplating, and that's the purpose of tonight's and future meetings, to go over some of the things that we need to update according to the community board, not according to the community board, but the borough president's office. And so let's move from there. On the agenda tonight are a number of items put together by our board chair, Lucy. And we can just, if you would just review them, and then we can try to fit them in and discuss them as we move forward.
so as Michael reminded me that the bylaws committee last time, they went from section to section, which we will be doing that, but I wanted to bring a couple of bullet points to the committee. And one was a little more clarification on the attendance section. I'm getting there, sir. Sorry, I had it, yeah. Circled it, I apologize. Oh, here it goes, page 5 of 11, section 4, I think that's 4, right? 1B is 4?
Yes.
Thank you.
Roman numeral.
3 consecutive unexcused absences or 25% of non-consecutive unexcused absences or latenesses in 1 year. I think we should shorten that to maybe 6 months instead of the 1 year. And I've noticed that on attendance, people tend to come to 2 meetings, miss 1, and then come to another 2 meetings. So I think we should try to clear that up a little bit more.
Section 4, number 1.
Yes, they're all following me.
No,
A1.
I'm trying to get on.
So that's just
Sorry.
one of the recommendations. My second recommendation is, the chair is the only one that is allowed, the chair of the board is the only one that's allowed to speak to the media and to the public. And she assigns it to the.
As always.
No,
Yeah.
and there's adding on to that.
Oh, okay.
She assigns that to any member of the committee, any board member at her discretion. But with that being said, I also would like to add somewhere in the bylaws that board members are not allowed to create business cards. The only ones that can create business cards is the chair of the board and the first vice chair. So that's something I would like you guys to look into. I would like to also look into removing co-chairs. I would like it to be just chairs. The chair of the committee and a co-chair, not that they're co-chairs together. So it would be Michael Silverman will be the chair of that committee, and I'm just using an example, and Susan will be the co-chair. That would eliminate of having 26 members on the executive committee.
But in the event that Michael couldn't make a meeting.
She would, right, that is correct, but the individual of the chair of that committee will be the main person to attend the executive committee meetings, and we wouldn't have to have 26 people there, and so that would eliminate that. That's just
Good idea.
something that I thought of. The other thing is, and I was very confused about this on the last page, on the page 10, I'm not comprehending why the amendments have to be passed by the board 3 times. I just don't get that. So that's something that we can look into. And the bylaws should go in effect immediately after the full board vote. And term limits, we noticed that, and I noticed that when I've gone to committee chairs meetings at the borough president's office, some community boards have no term limits for the officers. Some community boards have 3 2-year terms. Some of them have 2 3-year terms. So I like this board to consider either doing 3-year, 2-year terms, which would allow the chair to be, or the officers to be 6 years, or the opposite way, if I do 2 3-year terms, it will be the same thing as 6 years. I do not ever recommend indefinitely stay as chair forever. I think, as I learned being chair of this board, it took about a year for me to understand a lot and wet my feet. In addition, it took a lot of people in the community to understand that Joanne was term limit out, not that she was removed. So when I came, oh, where's Joanne? What happened to Joanne? Well, it's term limit. So it took a while for the people in the community to know who's the new chair and things like that.
Well,
So
when that comes up, because I have a couple of things to say, but
I'm not looking to run for chair again. So if this goes effective immediately, it's not something that I'm asking the board to do that. Because if it goes effective immediately, I can run for chair, but I'm not intending to do that. So it's not for my own benefit. I think that's my list for now, of bullet points.
Okay, thank you. So last time we went through the bylaws, we went through each section, starting at the beginning, so we don't leave anything out. I think that certainly continues to make some sense. Okay, instead of jumping around. All right, so hopefully our members, we're able to look at our current bylaws. If we look at the introduction, including Article 1, which is territorial limits, there's no change necessary there at all. It's just stating that it originally started December 23rd, 1976, and known as Community Board 13. There is nothing to change there. The second article is membership, which is standard. The board shall consist of not more than 50 persons appointed by the borough president, 1/2 of whom shall be appointed from nominees of the district council members from the borough who have residence or business or professional or other significant interest in the district. Because we have people here in this community that don't live here, but do work here and are very important to the community. So that's why it's stated that way. B, not more than 25% of all such appointments shall be employees of the city of New York. C, the local council members whose districts include any part of the community district shall be ex officio non-voting members of the board. That's SOP, standard operating procedure. Then it goes into D, which was the new item last go round, public members, which states that number 1, members of the public up to 2 per committee who are otherwise eligible to be board members through residence, business, professional, or other significant interest may be appointed by the chair to serve on chair committees, subcommittees, and task forces for 1-year renewable terms, subject to section 2800 of the New York City Charter. If a public member's eligibility changes, the member shall inform the board, chair, and district manager immediately. Number 2, public members shall be governed by the same rules as full board members. Number 3, public members of committees, subcommittees, and task forces are counted towards the quorum of that committee or task force, but may not vote at the full board meeting. A separate vote of public members at committee. In other words, you could take a sense of where they are on any topic, okay? But it does not count in the information forwarded to the full board. 4, a public member appointed by the board chair to serve on a committee, subcommittee, or task force does not have the rights and privileges of a full board member. I think that's understood. And 5, public members serve at the discretion of the board chair and may be removed by the chair for reasons including but not limited to. And it talks about 3 consecutive unexcused absences from one particular committee's meetings. Yeah, Liz.
Should number 5 be indicated referencing to section 4, removal of board members? No?
No, because they're not board members.
Should
So
have board-
All right, these are
okay, well,
public members.
that's why it states public members.
Okay, and then I just want to go back on B, 25% of such appointees should not be employees of the city of New York.
Not more than 25.
We don't know that. Because when I contact the VP's office and say, please give me the bio of Michael Silverman, they tell me, no, I have to forward it. When I say, can I please have the application of Michael Silverman? So this is something that even though we send the VP's office the bylaws, we have to make sure that they know that this is, they have to know that this is in our bylaws. Because Eddie and I do not see your application unless we forward it. So just pointing that out to you guys. No, I'm just saying.
But it doesn't hurt us.
No,
to
it
have it
doesn't,
in
it
there.
doesn't, but I'm saying that we have to make sure when the appointees come out, that the district manager sends this and says, hey, you appointed 10 new members. I want to make sure that you guys notice B.
That makes sense.
So we have to
So
let them know that.
who's the police of that? It's really the borough president's office.
Yeah, but they, remember, they have 18 other community boards bylaws. They're not, but I think when we get the new members, just need to say, can you make sure we're referencing to section B? It's just more of a note for the district manager to send that out to the.
Is this just pertaining to our bylaws or is that standard across the board?
No, this is ours.
I know,
I know it's pretty standard. Michael was gonna answer. It's pretty standard.
I mean,
but-
is it like
Again,
all boards have to abide by this, or the borough has to abide by that ruling?
When we researched this the first time, we found it in just about all the bylaws that
okay.
we saw. Listen, the bottom line is if you ask the borough president's office, we're not getting, yeah, we are getting bumped.
Bumped, right.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Subsection 2 of Article 2 membership. Members of the board shall serve 2-year terms, 1/2 of the membership eligible for reappointment each year per the latest edition of the city charter. That's standard. Okay. Of course, members of the board should not receive any compensation for their service. Members of the board are public officers under the New York State Public Officers Law, and it states the chapter and order. 3, as public officers, board members' positions shall be vacant upon the occurrence of any of the events set forth in New York Consolidated Laws, Public Officers Law, Article 3, creation and filling of vacancies. So there is a law that we need to go by, that we agree to follow as public officers and replacement. Subsection 3, responsibilities of members. Members shall attend all meetings except for a legitimate excuse when the members shall notify the board office or chair prior to the meeting. And that's further stated in Article 4, subsection 1. To be considered present at a board meeting, a member must be part of the first roll call of the evening, which is the vote on acceptance of the minutes. Must sit in the designated area. 3, be present for the final roll call, which shall take place after the good and welfare portion of the meeting. Members arriving late and or leaving early must sign in and out and designate the time which shall be recorded as part of the minutes. Attendance records shall be kept on file in the community board office. We all know this to be, you need to be here for the first roll call and the last in order to be considered present. A board member shall not be deemed present at a meeting unless such a member is in attendance during substantially all of the meeting. This was put in here because basically we all have lives outside of the community board as well, and sometimes there are appointments that have to be kept, or children have to be picked up, but not constantly, okay? Which is defined as arrival within 1/2 hour of the scheduled meeting, beginning of the meeting, and remaining until the last roll call. Any member who missed 3 consecutive meetings unless excused shall be removed from the board. Now, this is where one of your questions came up, from the beginning. Well, we'll come back, we'll put a pin in that and come back to B. A board member shall be excused as to C. A board member should be excused from board or committee meetings for the following reasons: military service, jury duty, illness, death in the family or household, attending to board business at the request of the chair or by the discretion of the chair.
So I have a question about that section.
Right.
Illness. Every month somebody has a cold. It's at my discretion, obviously, as chair, but I trust the word of our members. We have should there be an additional line as well as a long-term illness? Something more clear, because we have a couple of members that have requested long-term. And at what point do you just say illness is illness, or do you say a little more clear?
I don't know, but that response that they gave to Susan makes it.
They includes a board member.
I don't know if you're having HIPAA problems with that one. You may have HIPAA problems.
You're right.
Am I right?
I think we understand that this does not pertain to having a cold every month. Okay, that is something that would be more severe and ongoing, that would be the only way to be.
How about the word ongoing illness? So instead of saying illness, add the word ongoing?
But see, if you put ongoing, then they're gonna say, then you might as well be off the board. Right?
I think leave it alone.
Yeah, I leave it alone, just.
We're having problems right now, and we're having problems, and I don't want to name the name.
I know, but you
But
can,
we had a member that wrote to the BP's office and said they needed to request for a long term, and the response was, see you next time, reapply.
okay, you got his answer.
But this,
That's not an answer.
Maybe,
this is
That was
a
the
member.
borough president's response?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wait,
which should tell you where they're at.
Because the individual wrote to me and said, I need a long-term excuse, and I said that length is really long. I'm gonna get advice from the BP's office, and they wrote back saying, sorry for your illness, but you can always reapply. It wasn't clear as to goodbye, and it wasn't clear as to should you resign. It wasn't, so the individual's gonna call them up tomorrow.
but it has the same effect as not being able to serve. If you can't serve, why are you on the community board?
But you can serve remote.
not a committee,
I think so, but I seem to be in the minority.
but the remote is gonna end in spring 2024. That's it.
October 23.
Well, it's gonna be spring pretty soon.
Can we go back to that then? We'll go back to that and think about something, guys. I
We'll go
just don't think someone that broke their leg, let's just use an example, and can't make it to meetings for 3 months, should be removed off the board. It's a long-term medical issue.
Can they remote in?
Well, let's forget about the remote, because eventually that's gonna be gone. But yes, they can remote in,
Okay,
but they can't vote. And that's at my discretion.
But the only problem with that is if they're remote, their vote doesn't count.
Mhm.
That's at your discretion that the vote
No,
doesn't
my
count?
discretion to excuse them
Oh, I see. Okay.
to attend on Zoom. So like Michael can call me and say, you know, my leg is swollen, and I can say, well, that's great, you're absent. And he'll say, but wait, I want to be on Zoom. I could, you know, and I can say, no, I'm not accepting it. You're still absent. Not that I probably would, depending, but you know, you have some people that take advantage of certain things.
There always will be. Rules don't always fit every size.
And then you start listing them and oops, I left one out and you know,
I'm just throwing at the
I
table
think
what's
the
happening.
chair should still have the right to excuse the person if it has a long term and leave it as that.
what I've seen a lot of other community boards do is something like
Keep an eye on questions on the screen, Eddie.
There's no way. you fix it.
is 3 consecutive absences in any board calendar year or 5 total absences in any board calendar year. So it's a combination of, if you're missing 3 in a row, we have a problem and you need to be removed. And if you're missing 5 in out of our 10 meetings, being there only 50% of the time, you might, you know, you're gonna get replaced. I mean, that is basically what section 2800B states from the borough president's office. I mean, cut and dry, whether you have an illness or not, that's what they say.
It used to be, if you went down, say, for argument's sake, you went down to Florida. So if you missed 2 meetings and you got yourself back by the 3rd meeting, you were okay.
Right,
That's the way it used to be.
right. But, you know, like, unfortunately, we had some members that just resigned because they will spend the
Yeah.
winter down in Florida now, and as opposed to, you know, just 2.
Well, that
two
was the
meetings.
other thing, people just excused them.
Right,
And, you know, that's no longer gonna happen. You know, if I know you're in Florida, I'm not gonna excuse you for 3 meetings. I'm sorry. And, you know, I might seem like the bad guy, but again,
Well,
the
it wasn't,
BP's,
it wasn't 3, it was 2. If you didn't come in for the 3rd, then you were done.
but that's just going around the circles
Yeah, I
of the
know.
bylaws.
A lot of people didn't come in for.
Mhm.
A lot of people didn't come in for the 3rd.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
weren't,
I
they
know.
weren't
Made sure
good.
to get back for the 3rd.
I mean, you know,
No, dear.
that's the social club aspect of it,
There you go.
which is, I really think.
And again,
that's-
it's not me beating
Not
the
right.
horse or whatever they
So-
call that phrase. It's me being beat up from over there and say, well, you gave us the attendance records. Can you explain why Joanne was absent 4 times?
so here was the subsection 3 is really the first time that we have something to possibly change. Let's see, a board member shall be excused from board or committee meetings for the following reasons, and it lists them. To specify it, to be more specific. I don't know what you would put in there. The other thing is that I guess the easiest thing is just to take away the idea that we can water this down. Whether it be for, especially in light of what the borough president's office said. Okay. Let me see. Because I don't know how you list illnesses that are acceptable.
I don't.
None of them are. You know what I
And
mean?
then what are you gonna do with those that are claiming they need long-term leave because they're home care attendants for a mother or husband?
Well, that falls within what section we're at. Oh, no, that
That could
says
be a
death of
month, 3
family.
months,
Right.
4 months.
You
It
know,
doesn't say
but
it here at all.
but
It doesn't
they
say
should
it
be
at all.
honest enough to step up to the plate and say, look, I can't serve
Yeah, well,
effectively
yeah, but then
if I'm not here, and to want to,
they,
that's the problem. So the bylaws say it for them.
Actually,
If you can't serve, you can't serve.
actually, Joanne, it doesn't even say it here. If
I know.
can remember.
I know, that's why I brought it up, because it's not in there at all. It's not like falling in sick, or you stubbed your toe, or you broke your leg, or whatever. This could be an, like an ongoing thing.
But with all respect, you're the member, not your family.
I'm just bringing up the
No, no,
issue.
I know
Yeah,
that's
right,
at
right,
hand, right, I get it.
I'm
And
just bringing up the
seems like
issue,
we never read our bylaws until recently, so.
Oh, yeah, he's excused because he's got a cold, but I can't be excused because my husband's sick or my mother's sick or I'm taking care of her.
It's still, it's still.
The
It's
member's
still,
responsibility to,
besides the member's responsibility, it's up to the chair to whether or not you want to excuse that person. It's in the bylaws. So if the chair feels that and has a conversation that this illness is gonna last 3 months, the chair has to decide on what has to be done. That's basically it.
Look,
I mean, the chair should have the responsibility of doing that. You don't have to bring it to a committee.
Well, it says at the discretion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's there in the bylaws.
I'm not,
I mean, you could have the conversation with that person and you figure it out.
Or when you have the same person calling you in January, I was sneezing in February, my toe hurt. in
That's-
March.
and the chair has to say no.
No, that's logical. You can say no.
And if the chair won't say no, that's another problem, because then, the person next to her is gonna.
Say, I got a migraine.
Yeah.
Say the
Or
same
whatever.
thing, and after a while, you don't even have a functioning board or a committee.
Exactly.
So is there, this might not be the place for it, but is there a place to put in 3 consecutive absences in any board calendar year, or 5 total absences in any board calendar year?
I thought we talked about a 6-month
Yeah,
period.
that was here in section 4. We can
We didn't get to
rephrase
it
that.
yet.
No, I'm always asking this, somewhere we could rephrase it, page 5 of 11.
Right, Article 4, Section 1, subsection A, subsection
We can
1.
rephrase that.
Right. You were gonna change it
Okay.
to 6 months.
So then
Well,
let's,
that was a recommendation.
Yeah, I'm
Then-
saying. I'm saying.
I have it.
then let's leave,
Thank you.
then,
Leave
in
that
my
alone.
opinion, leave C alone,
Thank you.
if
Yeah,
that meets with everybody else's
Yeah, but-
approval,
now this,
because we take care of it further
now this
on.
brought something up, Joanna. I'm gonna have to revisit that,
What's that?
the family members that you.
Yeah, right. It's. I think so.
Well, that's putting it directly on the shoulders of the chair. So add it to the list.
Of my 8 list.
Only because, the only reason I say that is because it's really not there. Well, I don't want to use the word
Yeah.
fair, but if you're gonna excuse this one for a ingrown toenail or a cold or whatever, and this one is gonna be out for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, who knows how long with home care.
Right,
Where do you balance it?
Okay.
okay. Okay, that brings us to 3D. Members shall serve on the board in their capacity as private citizens only. The action shall not be instructed by or responsible to any other organization which they may be affiliated. I think that speaks for itself.
Mhm.
E, members shall participate in at least one standing committee. Any committee member who misses 2 consecutive committee meetings shall automatically be removed from that committee. The only exception shall be for the following reasons, and it's the same reasons as in the previous item. As well as attending to the board business as at the request of the chair.
Should it be shall or should it be may? Because we know many people here have not attended 2 consecutive meetings and they have not been removed off that committee.
Well, we gotta follow our bylaws. That's our fault for it. If they miss them and we don't act on
I'm
it.
gonna
it's
leave
your-
with a bounce out of this. Yeah,
You can talk about it as chairperson, you can talk about it as coming from the executive board. Have them, work in your, with you on it, because some of these decisions would be very difficult. And as chairman of the board, you have a target on your back to begin with, so, all presidents and, so on.
okay.
So that's something you can certainly do. F, members must vote on all matters of the board. However, where a conflict of interest exists, board members shall abide by the New York City conflict of interest regulations, which require the member to declare their conflict prior to participating in any discussion, then recuse themselves from voting. This is the only condition by which recusal may be applied. And G, last item in this, no member of staff shall represent the board's position or speak for the board on any matter unless duly authorized by the board or the chair to do so. Okay, up to Article 3, officers. This section, instead of reading the whole thing, talks about our positions on the board as chair, vice chair, second vice chair, treasurer, and secretary. Elections of officers.
Oh, before we go on, Mark Merrick just wrote in the chat. He said, I think you need to reword that because the illness makes it an excuse absence. So I don't know if that is what you guys gonna do back then.
It was
No,
just,
that's not our ruling. That's coming from higher up, that any absence is not considered any
Illness.
Mark, you can talk.
the way it's worded,
You're muted, Mark. We can't hear you.
I'm not, I don't think I'm muted.
Mark, hold on a minute, Mark.
Yeah, but excuse absences are still considered absences regardless.
Right, I just.
You know that.
I understand the intent,
I can excuse you 10 times, it's still considered an absence in their eyes.
right, it just,
For some reason, we can't hear you, Mark.
my little
Wait, let me see.
microphone says it's blinking.
It has to be the volume of the owl, not the volume of the TV.
Check on the album.
Is there a volume on this?
Yeah, there is at the edge,
Is it possible? Is it possible?
Oh,
right there.
hello,
Yeah,
yes,
Mark, that's it.
now,
One more time.
okay, I just meant that the way the sentence is worded, with a semicolon, meaning that the discretion of the chair is another way, but illness in that first section, military service, jury duty, it's now an excused absence. I just think the English of that sentence is not as you intend the English of that sentence. That's all I meant.
All right, we're back to subsection 3C. A board member will be excused from board or committee meetings for the following reasons.
Yes. And so if you've done one of those, because you haven't says or by or including or the discretion, the way the sentence reads looks wrong to me. That's all I meant. I'll mute myself because you have that in more than one location and it just seems the English is wrong. That's all I mean.
Thank you.
So actually, in the wording from the BP office, section 2800B states an appointed member may be removed from a community board for cause which shall include substantial non-attendances at board meetings over a period of 6 months, comma, by the borough president or by a majority vote of the community board. So the Brooklyn Borough President uses the standard of 50% meetings in a year. Should a member miss more than 50%, they are flagged for an interview to determine if they are able to continue. So this contradicts actually C. And so does putting a number to that, which is the 3 consecutive absences in any current board calendar year, or 5 total absences in any board calendar year. One says the chair can okay it, and the other one says the chair shouldn't okay it.
Which says the chair shouldn't.
The borough president's statement.
Oh, we don't want to conflict with that.
Oh. Where do we get that from?
You. On the bottom.
Oh, that was, they send that. To me. Okay, I didn't copy that. I thought I wrote it. I'm like, I don't write like that. Yeah.
So from all the community board bylaws that I've read, none of them
Have that.
have what the borough president's office
Being,
is stating.
yeah, they can change their bylaws whenever they want as well. So this is this borough president.
Right.
It could have been different under another borough president. So does that mean every board now has to go as changed depending on whatever?
Well, regardless, before they're removed, they are interviewed by the borough president's office anyway, right? So that looks like that could be our out here. Okay, even if we do add the 3 consecutive or the 5, half the meeting, being absent for half the meetings. So then. Let me see.
Well, I would say just highlight it and come back to it.
Good, yeah, well, okay,
You need a highlighter?
no, I'll know this. Okay, on to Article 3, officers. Again, it just lists the offices on the community board. Election of officers will occur on even numbered years at a general board meeting to be held in June. We go further onto the election of officers a little further on, but the term of office for each officer shall be a period of 2 years, commencing on July 1 and ending on June 30th of the second year. An officer may be reelected to the same position for a maximum of 2 consecutive terms.
Okay,
Okay,
All right.
that's what I want to change.
All
right.
I just have to say something. We have term limits. Term limits were put into place because the councilman that was running lost to the councilman who won, and in retribution, he wanted to get rid of who was in charge here and did away. And wanted to get rid of the person that was there and put in term limits, okay?
So he wanted to get rid of the chair that was there.
Yeah, right.
So someone allowed a councilman to influence.
all the other council people, because that's the rules, right?
Yeah, right.
It's the whole city council that,
But,
And we-
and the
we went on to the
council person from the
election.
district from the district, really, yeah, at one point years ago, before all you people were on, if we had a meeting, and she's shaking her head, if we had a meeting 20 minutes before, Sam Horowitz, just to pick a councilman, would come in and we would get the listing of this is what was going to be done, and this is the way they wanted it done, okay? So that when Mark Traeger came in, I said to him on one issue, I said, well, what is it that the councilman wants? And he said, the councilman wants you to do what you want. And he's not going to interfere, but that was never the way it was before. So they put in term limits. My point is, if we have a chair that's doing the job and really doing the job, if they choose at the end of, say, the second year, that they want to run again, that, and everybody else can run and who wants to run, but they have the option of running again. In other words, like in the council, if you finish your 2 terms or whatever it is, you have the option of saying, well, I want to run again, and whoever wants to run against me, by all means do it.
That's what it says here.
No, this says you're out that you're out if 2 terms. I'm saying that if you're finished in June and you say, okay, I don't want to leave, or the board doesn't want you to leave, and you choose to, you can run again. Anybody else who wants to run against you has the option to run against you, and they can pick, but you're not forced to. Right now, this is June and you are out. You can't run again.
So that's when you extend the term limits at my request.
It's either extend the term limits or just make it the option of giving the chair the ability to run again if they choose.
When were these term limits enacted?
When Betty Bolson was the chair.
Right.
That's what I mean. That's way back.
Yeah, okay.
That's way back.
Yeah.
Howie Lasher.
What year was it, Eddie? You said
19.
Howie Lasher, we won as
I
the chair.
think if I'm hearing you correctly, is that if we leave it as is, let's say a maximum of 2 consecutive terms, right? And no one wants to run for chair, but I still want to stay, that I'm allowed to run again.
Yes.
I think that's what you're
That's
saying.
exactly what I'm
All
saying.
right.
But I think people won't get it. So I have to be honest. I think we should go with putting some type of term limits. And again, it
Well,
could
you have to
either
know the
be,
board you're dealing with.
Well, okay, well, I got a question. These term limits have nothing, that's stated here, have nothing to do with city government term limits?
no.
No, Teresa Scavo is,
Teresa,
If no one runs against?
that's it.
No. They have no term limit.
They have no
at their
term
community
limits.
level. So she can run till she dies.
Yeah,
I mean, she can
but
stay
if
there till
somebody
she dies.
wants to run
Bill
against her,
Guarino.
Right, so they have no, she can stay, she can run again and run again and run again. There is no ending of the max. But someone can run against her in 2 years. So I could just continue saying I want to run
But
until somebody runs against me and wins.
city charter now, because now you have a maximum of 8 years on.
That has nothing,
No,
we're
no,
not worried
but
about
you
that.
can't go over that, because you can't run past the 8 years.
Well,
That's
right,
good.
that.
Oh, you're
that's
saying as being a board member.
Board member, that's-
Right.
So-
You have to be a board member to be the chair.
Yeah.
But with term limits for community board members, to me, I don't think that it is fair to other people that might want to run or might want to get more involved and are the thumb on their forehead holding them back because while they're new and we know it takes some time to get to know what to do, to know what the players are, and so on, to be able to just say, well, now the chair or any executive member can hold on to the seat for 6 years, 6 out of the 8.
my point is if you have somebody in there that knows what they're doing,
That person can still run for first vice chair next go round, right?
Yeah.
yeah, they could do that. Yeah,
And if your first
yeah.
vice chair,
You sound like
it's
Charles
smarter-
Barron and his wife.
Oh, that-
Charles Barron, his wife, he runs one year, she ran here, then the following year she ran here, and he ran there.
But that's what happened.
Jeff doesn't look good in the skirt.
Yeah,
No.
Thank you. It was like the first go around, when you were chair,
right,
I was secretary,
right,
okay? So that was for 4 years,
right.
okay? Then Lucy ran for chair and I ran for vice chair. That's for 4 years. To me, it's enough, okay? Personally, I'm talking personally, okay?
Right.
Yeah, but as I said in the beginning of this meeting was, it took me a year.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, I know the community board, so it took me a year to get my feet wet. And then it took the community a year to know who the heck I was, or even 2 years. So now half of my term's gone.
Right.
So that's 2 years. So what I, again, would request and bring it up is 3 years commending July 1st, a maximum of 2 consecutive, which is 6 years of the, yes, Michael, 8 years. But I still think it's to me, I think it makes sense, especially when you have staff. Staff says, oh, she's leaving in she's leaving in 2 years. That goes back, that goes really fast. I don't need to be a good employee. But if you know I'm sticking around for 3 years, that's a little longer and you're gonna get your act together. And then you know I might be around another 3 years, that's 6 years. 6 years is a long time for you to turn around.
Of an 8-year term? If you're only here for 8 years, how'd you get elected after 2 years?
Easily, I got elected, I think I got in like less than a year as on the executive offices.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I got appointed the next day. I put in my application and got appointed the next day as a board member.
Okay.
Eddie came to my house at 8 o'clock. At 8 o'clock in the morning, I was a board member. Don't ask how.
Wow.
I know, which I thought it was ridiculous. And then I got on the board and I was voted in as second vice. Evelyn ran against me and I won after a year. And then I moved on.
I really think that, in my opinion, with an 8-year cap, we're gonna have a massive
You
migration
bet.
shortly.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know what
When
year
did it
it
start?
is.
What year did it start, Eddie?
It was voted in 2018, but it didn't initiate until during COVID, so.
2020?
Yeah. So
It
you have
must have been
another
90, yeah,
4 years.
20.
You have another, give or take 4 years when you run, Jeff.
So 2020, so you'll have 8 years after that.
So that, but my thing is, at that point then, we probably will have a woefully unprepared
Absolutely.
next group of people.
Everybody's
moving
gonna be
into
green,
office.
yeah.
If the current people are gonna be given 6 years.
It's like the city council when they all come in.
Right, that,
Yeah.
they were all up this year.
Yep.
I don't know. I think even if you give someone 3 years, people can just, and I've seen this in other boards, they just rotate each other around like it's a rag,
Round
which I
robin.
think it's ridiculous. I think maybe we should, how about implement that you can't run for the same position again on the board until you have a 1 year time off.
Boy, I think it's there, right? You have to.
You know what I'm saying? Instead of like me, I can't run for first vice chair until I take a 1 year break. It's just, what's happening here is with what Eddie's saying, after the 8 years, you cannot reapply for board membership until you take a 1 year break. So it's not like
That's
it's,
common.
so I'm thinking now, maybe if you want to leave it as 2 years commending blah, 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 that maybe we should add in there that after you finish your 4 year max, you can't run for another executive officer position until you just a regular board member for a year. Or 2 years, actually, because because you won't be doing elections for 2 years. Did I make that clear?
As much.
You know, I mumble and da, da, da. And then again, that would be fair for people, like you just said, there's new meat, and a lot of the new meat are being excluded because you have the, hey, you're my friend type of thing. Right?
That's inevitable in any community environment.
True. But if you change it, then. Listen, I am not gonna name names, but I have a few new we have a few new members that are pretty good that could be on the executive officers list.
And
Absolutely,
there are some that could get the votes, it would be a friggin' disaster.
absolutely.
So I guess
All right.
now I have two things on the table, either the 2-year or possibly you can't run for a position on
3 2-year or 2 3 years?
3 terms. Right? 3
For total.
year.
3 2
Total of
years,
6
Three,
years.
or
2
3
years.
2 years.
3 2-year terms, or I thought you said 2 3 year terms?
Or,
Either or.
either
I
or
don't care
comes
how
out
you
to
do
6
it. It
years.
comes out to 6 years.
Yes, I know, but it's,
And if you want to leave it as is, then I would say you can't run for a position after you exceeded your max of 4 years. Without, you have to
Without
take
a
a break
1-year
for 2
break.
years. You get a 2-year break because you don't have elections for
Then
every
you're
2
out.
years. No, that's only 6.
6.
No, you're not out. Then you could
And-
come in for 2 years.
If you leave it as it is, you say. Okay.
No, I'm just recommending.
No, an alternative.
Right, an alternative. If you feel strongly on not having someone on the, as chair for 6 years.
I don't personally like it because of the term limits for everything else. Okay, that gets in the way of for me.
And that can be changed tomorrow too.
I was gonna say, if he doesn't get elected, who's he? The borough president, or whenever he's up this year.
Well, that's not him, that's the
That's-
city, that's the
City charter.
city charter, they
voted
changed,
at
city
it.
council changed it.
They voted at it.
Right,
Oh,
But that doesn't necessarily mean that they won't go back and revisit it in
Oh,
4
yeah.
years. When board members say, Joanne's been around for over 20
Right.
years and she has the knowledge of everything, why are you removing her? This is outrageous, and she's got a lot
it
of,
was only 20 years.
no, I'm just saying, she's got her marbles up there. But yet you're giving me members that don't even show up to meetings.
Right.
right.
So they might revisit that themselves eventually later on. I don't know. But we have to go with what's on the table now. I don't know.
So, okay,
You're running very close.
it is, yeah, okay. So
Thank you,
I
Barbara.
think this is,
Right.
I think this is working out that we will obviously have more meetings because there's a lot of thinking that we have to do here as the committee to see which way, give it some thought as some new topics
And
come
this
up.
term
And so
issue,
term
What's-
limit is not gonna,
I don't mean our term limits, I'm
Right.
talking about the city's term
Right.
limit on us.
right.
So that's gonna,
So that then we say, well, we'll worry about it when they change it, as opposed to making a change now. And so on. That's my opinion, but we can come back to that. Maybe we'll get another section in the time that we have left and
okay.
see where we are. Is that okay with everybody?
Sure. Do you want
I
to,
don't think-
We're gonna come
It's
back.
never
and
gonna
revisit
be
this.
coordinated when somebody has to leave in a 6 year, was it 6 years? 8 years. He or she could be in the middle of being an officer and
Yes,
that's it, and they'll only have 1 year
right,
or 2 years.
right,
so
It's never gonna coordinate.
Yeah.
right. I agree. But we don't have a choice right now, right?
No, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
it's just something to think about if you wanna make that change.
Back to Article 3, officers. Election of officers will occur in even numbered years, yada, yada, yada. At the March meeting, the chair asked for volunteers or handpicks actually the chair for the nominating committee and then asked for volunteers to be on the nominating committee, which starts a process which is outlined here from A through paid. With the actual election being at the last meeting of our season, which would be June, and that's letter G. During that time, there are discussions in front of the full board, interviews by the nominating committee, and we have the written paper ballot votes during the election. All right, subsection 4 is the one that we need to give more thought again, because that's the term for all officers. Is limited to 2 consecutive terms. Subsection 5 talks about duties of the chair. And goes into the job of the chair. There was nothing on your list for this section, correct, Lucy?
Correct.
Okay. Including instructions on chairs and co-chairs of the committee, which is done by the chairperson.
I'm sorry, where are you?
That's letter M. Went back a little bit. It's still in 5, page 4 of 11.
Mhm.
Okay, that's M. That the chair appoints the chairs and the co-chairs of the committees. We're not up to your change.
But
Okay,
that would change that section. Because if you guys agree with my change, then
we have to. No, you're
Oh, no,
still
yeah.
appointing the
Yeah.
chair and the co-chair,
yeah, okay, sorry.
right?
Mhm.
You have the annual, report.
I don't get that. What's that? What do you report?
Probably the state of the community board.
The what?
Which is
Like,
basically your opening statement at the beginning of every meeting
Yeah,
as to what the chairperson tells us.
okay.
To provide direction and oversight of the district manager, including performance reviews. In subsection 6 is the duties of the vice chairs. And subsection 7, the chair and vice chair shall be ex officio members of all committees of the board. And that one, we should highlight, because just this past year alone, we knew that if the first vice chair and the chairman did not attend some of our committee meetings, we couldn't have the committee meeting. So this is, critical that everybody is aware of that.
It wouldn't be, you need the chair and vice chair to fulfill the quorum, basically.
Subsection 8, duties of the treasurer. Subsection 9, duties of the secretary. Subsection 10, vacancy of office. That's just the, if the chair can't serve, it goes to the first vice chair, and until a special election is held within 3 months of the vacancy. So there's a time on that. Again, it goes further. It's like the King of England. If the chair, the first vice chair is unable to serve, they shall be succeeded by the second vice chair, then the secretary, and if need be, the treasurer at the end. And again, there's a special election has to be held within 3 months of the vacancy. The next one is a
Are we gonna
fairly
go to
big
the next one?
big
It's 8
topic,
o'clock.
yeah. Okay, so we might leave that, if it's okay with everybody, we can leave that for the next, for the next meeting, but, we did
Article
discuss.
4,
What's that?
Article 4 for the next,
Article 4.
okay.
That includes the removal of a board member and the process that's necessary. Then goes into executive committee and the standing committees. And then the job of the district manager,
But we're not,
we're not doing that
oh, we're not
now.
doing any of it, right?
You're
Right.
just giving
We're
a-
stopping
I'm
here.
just
Okay,
giving a highlight.
thank
The
you.
preload.
Okay.
Yes, that too. Including the duties of the district managers, and then we talk about Article 7, which is about meetings, and then the agenda. That's Article 8, rather, meetings, and then the agenda, Article 9, voting, and then other Article 11 amendments. And then, of course, Robert's Rules of Order. So
Openings for November?
Jeff, can you just pass me my bag?
I came over.
I do that a lot. You'd be surprised.
Oh, Lord.
Well, election day is the 7th. So,
Well, first I have to look at.
and then
this.
10.
I'm actually out of town from November 3rd through November 13th.
Okay, and I'm out of town from the 8th through the 17th. So we're running into a window.
I'm sorry, you're out of town till when?
The 13th.
Are you back the 13th or you're still away?
Let me look at it. The 13th is a Monday. I am back on the 13th.
Would you be overwhelmed to have a meeting on the 13th?
I won't be here.
Oh, you won't be
He
here. When are you
won't be
coming
here.
back?
I wouldn't go
You
anywhere
can
without.
try
In
the November 1st and 2nd.
I'm sorry,
fact,
excuse
you're
me,
coming
Eddie.
with me. Like,
Where we going?
it's our anniversary.
You're coming back when?
I'm coming back on or about the 17th,
So that's that Friday.
and the Monday, the 20th.
Board meeting.
Board meeting on a
Alan?
Monday?
Yeah, because Thanksgiving
Thanksgiving.
is.
Thank you.
And the 21st,
Oh,
I have a
no.
war vet.
What about the
I won't
1st and
be there.
2nd? 1st and 2nd of November.
Oh, so I better drag this over to here.
Yeah, speaking of. that,
22nd, that's the night before Thanksgiving.
First.
Eddie, I asked you to ask,
Or-
what's his name, to create the list and send it out, but I didn't see that. Okay, and you were recommending a different date, Eddie, in the beginning of November?
Before the craziness.
I have to see, because I'm working,
Oh, yeah, what is the
so I'm looking at.
Oh.
election hour?
Be early.
So the first is a Wednesday, the second is a Thursday. Good thing I don't do yoga
But
anymore.
I'll have to get to be 8 o'clock now.
Looking at it, here we go. So the November 1st, you're right, we're working from 10 to 8. November 2nd, we're working 10 to 8. And then obviously we're not doing the Fridays, so forget that.
And
Halloween,
we're
Halloween, the
dead in-
31st.
Or the 6th.
November 6th, I'm in California.
He won't be here.
I have another. meeting
Michael and I are
November
going to
6th.
California.
I can't get my passport in.
You just said it-
You need a passport.
we said for November 6th,
I'm sorry?
we set a time for November 6th, we have a meeting together.
No,
We didn't set a time, but we know it's that date.
yeah.
Hmm.
And that was postponed several times.
Oh.
So,
I gotta go look at my emails then.
no.
Yeah, then
That's-
I
that's the
suggested
date,
the
right.
6th, because I said, hey, let's move all of it
Right.
in November. Okay, so that's standard, but we don't have time.
It's no good for me. I'm meeting at the borough.
I hate to say it, November is not looking very promising unless we do it on Thanksgiving.
Or October.
I mean, we
30th.
could do the 21st.
No, yeah.
Have a board meeting.
Oh,
And
We have
that
precinct
21st is council.
27th?
That's after the general board meeting.
That's all right.
What are you talking about after the general board meeting?
Board meeting the 20th. So.
We're not
What are you bringing?
crossing
We're
it
not
now.
up to.
Okay, all right, that's all right.
To the board.
27th is the Monday after Thanksgiving.
Yes,
They can make it,
What about
so
you?
far as I can tell.
are we back?
27th, 28th.
37th.
No, the 28th, I have my board meeting in Manhattan.
No, 27th.
Okay, so we're talking 7 to 8?
Mhm.
Maybe 8:30.
Oh, please.
Yeah. Come on, Jack, you got.
So here we are. And by then, maybe we'll have more members. Majority is what's here. So November 27th at 7 p.m.
Okay.
Goody.
Oh.
By the time we finish this, we'll be having meetings all in person.
You want to look at December, just in case we have to meet while we're.
No.
Well, we're not gonna conclude this in November.
No, right.
No, but I'd rather, because we might have, yeah, but then if you have others that might, like Susan and them might be here for the November meeting. I should,
Yeah.
we should have.
So let's make it tentative, we'll just maybe just hold
What,
the
but
spot,
December.
figure out in December. Before all our busy schedules are busier. Is a Monday night good for you, or is there a night that's better for you?
Shit here, so I can't.
It depends on the week. Believe it or not, I've resigned from 2 other boards. You're the only one that's left.
Thank you.
Okay, so,
Appreciate that.
actually, I resigned as secretary of one board, but I'm still on the board. But, the other one, I'm out after 20 years. Never felt better in my life. So, Mondays, so we're gonna have a meeting on the 27th.
You're right,
Yes.
Okay, let me just try to put
you
that.
wanna shoot for the 4th,
Of what?
December?
It's like the following week, isn't it?
It is.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
but
Will make a difference. to me.
What's the, yeah, it doesn't matter.
You're right. So let's see, the 4th. Let me see. Not on vacation that week. Yeah, sure, why not?
The 4th, okay with you? Liz?
Yeah, either the 4th or the 7th, but Hanukkah's the 7th,
so
So it's 4.
right? We can't do the 7th, right? No, I'm just saying, just in case you guys can,
None of you.
so that CB.
gotta see the babies.
Well, even if the others,
First time, that's the first time?
that's what it says in this book, I don't know if it's accurate.
No, yeah, the 7th is the first night.
That's when we have a normal lighting.
Yeah,
You got one?
So we got 2.
So the dates are
The 27th.
October 27th. And
If
December,
you have a problem with
November
the 4th,
27th.
we'll
November
figure
20th.
something
We're
out.
gonna have a problem because even I
And
just, I
December
put the
4th, was it?
calendar. It's just gonna have to be the 4th. If they can't make it, they can't make it. I'm
So
hoping
you
they
have
could.
fun.
Right,
Okay,
and then I wanna say to somebody that not to come, but. So you got additional stuff that you want us to look in?
What's that?
in addition, optimal addition.
You couldn't by chance email this to me.
Yes, I can.
Okay, I'll take it. but-
Okay, yeah,
This is something we should look into.
yes. Which goes to issues on the list.
yeah.
Because it's time that, with all the Facebooks and TikToks and Instagrams and social media and so on. I mean, we can go real crazy with it too, but that is just the basics.
Oh, yeah, anybody-
So this is very
A
important.
possible
It's very
addition.
important.
It should be.
Yeah, because in those days, when these bylaws were written, social media didn't exist.
Right. Either the computers in
We
some
we could make it
cases.
not exist now.
I've seen some bylaws that haven't been changed since 1995.
I believe it. Like they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, but
But it's broke.
It's,
The board's function.
does
Be honest.
anyone else have questions before we adjourn?
No, that's it.
What's all that up there, Eddie?
No, just, Linda Harrison said, good night.
Good night.
Well, good night, everybody. Thank you for attending.
Meeting adjourned, second.
yeah.